Hi there. Did you know that too much self reflection isn't a good thing? It's probably something you've never heard before. But in this video, we're going to talk about 5 different pitfalls of too much self reflection so that you know how to avoid it and not kind of fall into those pitfalls because it's kind of scary that we spend a lot of time self reflecting and maybe we're spending too much. So listen to these 5 tips and see if they sound like you, and also now that you'll know about them, how you're going to avoid them. So the first pitfall is over analysis, right? So you sit down with your journal and you're happy and you're kind of doing your thing and you're really analyzing a situation, what you could have said, what really might have happened, what was that person thinking, or how could things have turned out differently, or who was to blame, and you spend all this time really analyzing the situation, and you'll never really know, right? You're never really going to know what happened. You're just going to have your perception. And then when you think about it, you start to come up with a new perception, and you don't know if this perception's right or that perception's right. And you can't go back and redo the situation. So even if you come up with, a better way of having handled it, it really doesn't matter in the end. So there's awareness, but then there's over analysis. And if you're spending your time going over and over a situation, how you could have handled it differently, how it should have been different, how it wasn't fair, like you spend all this time over analyzing it, you don't get anywhere. You don't know what there is no like real truth, right? The over and analyzing isn't going to give you some flash of insight because you can't go back and change that situation. It happened. It's done. Spending all this time over analyzing it is not going to do anything but make you stay in that moment. So over analysis is kind of like freezing you. It's freezing you in that moment and not letting you move past it so that you just keep living those emotions over and over again. And if you're over analyzing something, chances are those are toxic emotions. So you're kind of poisoning yourself, right? You're staying in that over analysis position. And that means you're just staying with the sadness, the frustration, the depression, the anger, the guilt, whatever it is. Move on. Over analysis causes you to feel an emotion way longer than you need to feel that emotion. So in addition to being kind of stuck in that emotion, you also come up with like analysis paralysis, right? When you overanalyze a situation to that point where you're just stuck in emotion, you stop feeling like you can do something. You stop moving forward, right? You're just being like, what was the right decision? What could I do? And then when that situation or something similar pops up, you're still stuck in this analysis paralysis of, I don't know what to do because I just can't find the right thing in my head. Okay, you're just going over, you're playing it over and over, and now you're paralyzed. You can't take action because you've overthought the situation and you see 30 different outcomes of how you could have handled it differently, and you don't know which one to pick. So you have analysis paralysis where you can't move forward, and you have analysis, I don't know if you want to call it stuckness, where you can't get past that emotion because you just overanalyzed it to death. And those two together create this toxic soup of not being able to move forward. So you're stuck in emotion you don't want to feel, and you don't know what to do about it. You're kind of like frozen, like a deer in the headlights, right? So you don't want to feel that, and that's what over analysis and over self-reflection, like too much self-reflection, causes. And just to back up a second, I'm Julianne Price with Life Edit and Design. And I help women who are really determined to live their best life. I help them edit out those worries of life, and design in the joy so that they really can live their best life. And if that's a hell yes for you, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can have more of this kind of content where it really kind of, I call it the wake up content, like to realize, oops, I'm doing something here that I can make a different choice. So here with our over analysis, spending too much time with self-reflection, again, it causes you to stay in an emotion way too long. It causes you to be unable to move forward. And the other thing it causes you, I like to call it the Eeyore syndrome, where you start to take on a victim mentality. If you spend too much time thinking about a situation and too much time reflecting on what was going on inside of you, you can kind of adopt this Eeyore feeling of, oh, well, life just happens to me. You feel that energy just going down. You have this victim mentality because you're stuck in, again, this loop of feeling these bad emotions, and it really starts to spill over into other parts of your life and really helps you start to adapt this victim mentality that does not serve you. It is not good for you. So don't spend that time with that self reflection where you're just so in this box that now life becomes this color of things just never working out for you, and just everything is just ho hum. And if you've ever watched Eeyore, go back and watch an Eeyore video. It's just sad. The poor little guy. Everything is just horrible. And if you don't know who Eeyore is, he's in Winnie the Pooh. He's the donkey, the blue donkey in Winnie the Pooh, who just, everything just happens to him, and he just, everything's poor me. And you don't need to be poor me. And I think when you spend too much time in self reflection, you can wind up in the poor me land, and nobody needs that. Move on, get out of that. The other thing that too much self reflection causes is that you start to waste too much time, energy, and focus over there, over on this land of what could have been, what should have been, what could have been differently. And you start to mistake the analysis itself for action. So you're not doing anything about it. You're just thinking and thinking and journaling and journaling. But that's not action in and of itself, right? So you start to mistake action for this self reflection. Like, oh, I'm doing something, I'm analyzing the situation. Yeah, I'm not saying no to self-reflection. Self-reflection is good, but I'm saying when you spend too much time in self-reflection, that's where you're starting to trade self-reflection for actual action. And so you don't do anything. So we talked about the analysis paralysis. You spend all your time there overanalyzing. You're missing out on taking actual action. So you're wasting time and energy and focus being sucked into this emotion and being sucked into this past and not taking action moving forward. And again, that's not good. That's not what self-reflection is all about. That's when you're overindulging in self-reflection and replacing that for actually taking action. And the fifth thing is you're missing out on the learning and the new perspectives that come from interacting with other people and interacting with the world. You need to stop the self reflection at some point and get into the world and interact, because as you start to interact, you start to see new perspectives. You start to feel, your energy starts to break up and move in a better direction. You can leave that old emotion behind. You can leave that victim mentality behind if you're out in the world and you're having new interactions and you're getting fresh perspectives and you're seeing, even just being outside and you're starting to, wake up and feel nature again, and it's starting to feel that energy vibe, and everything starts to move again. So when you spend too much time in self-reflection, it's a static thing. It becomes very internal. You start to not see the world around you, and you get stuck. So you have some bad energy that you're just swirling around in. You have analysis paralysis. You're not taking action. You're not moving in a direction. And all of this soup is now coloring your perspective for the rest of your life. So now you become Eeyore. So you can see how all these kind of play together to make a toxic sludge that is not what you want. It's not what life is all about. So there is good in self-reflection. I am all for self-reflection. I journal every single morning, but I journal for about 5 minutes, not an hour. Don't spend all day with your journal overanalyzing every situation, because it's going to make you feel like Eeyore. It's going to keep you stuck in the past, and it's going to keep you from taking action, and that action brings new insight. So I hope that this has given you some inspiration. And know that when you can, stop avoiding or stop spending too much time in self-reflection, you can start to move into something else called self-awareness. And self-awareness is very different from self-reflection. So I encourage you to watch the other video I have that's all about taking responsibility for your life and kind of making choices, making different decisions. So I'll put the link in the other video, and that will kind of take you a step further from this. So we know that spending too much time in self-reflection is not good. But spending time getting self-awareness is a whole different story and a whole different ball of wax. So hop over and watch that other video, and I'll see you over there. Take care.